Good evening. Hi, I'm Jamie Christensen. I'm part of the Colaberry team. Usually I'm behind the scenes as one of the marketers for the school. But tonight I really wanted to be the one to intro my friend Ephraim Jackson. Ephraim and I have known each other for over 10 years, maybe closer to 15. I knew him when I was like 10 years old at this point. So we worked together in corporate many moons ago, and Ephraim has a real passion for financial literacy. And when Jackie and I and the Colaberry team were talking about what types of programming to bring our alumni, he was at the top of my list because I've seen him present before, I've seen him teach, and you're going to feel his passion come through. So his day job is training financial advisors how to be better financial advisors. Ephraim, I'll let you elaborate on that, but that's what I would say your day job is. But then his real passion is helping with financial literacy, training people on how best to wisely use their money resources and doing things like this. He also has training programs that he offers through his website, freetoserve.org, and looks for opportunities to come into communities across the US to just help educate people. Ephraim is coming to us from Iowa. I think most, Colaberry, most of us are here they're in Dallas today. I'm coming from Florida, but I'm here in Texas and elsewhere. So Ephraim, really appreciate your time, for taking time out of your evening with your family, which I know is really important to you, to talk with us and just really start the conversation on finances and once we're making great jobs, what do we do? What's the next step? So with that, I will turn it over to you. And so Ephraim, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamie. Thank you for that awesome introduction. No pressure right now, right? So have to be good. No pressure. Got to live up to that introduction. And once again, I'll be kind of looking back and forth here because my main camera is having some issues. So I'll be looking at the camera here and back to this screen here from time to time. But I also want to thank the Colaberry leadership team. Just another special shout out for Jamie for asking me to come and speak about this topic tonight. I absolutely love talking about personal finance. I've been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. I am a licensed advisor. I've worked with people doing one-on-one counseling and coaching before. A number of times I've done TEDx talks about this subject of this and the wealth gap. This is my jam. So I literally could talk about this stuff all night long, but I know we don't have all night long. We only got a couple hours, so we're gonna get as much as we possibly can and compact it into the time that we have here. So I'm gonna jump in. So now I see that we can use the chat. Use that tonight. Use the reactions too, right? So if there's something that somebody says it jives with you, we're really jealous with you, do the applause, all that good stuff. We're gonna have just an awesome time tonight here as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and let's jump into tonight because we got a lot to talk about. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna talk about the 13 wealth management issues. I do want to give a little bit more background about myself here, just a little bit. As I said before, I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. Specifically, I grew up in the area called Roseland, for those that are familiar with Chicago. If you want to get really, really specific, I grew up in an area that was called the Wild Hundreds. So if someone's from Chicago, they know what the Wild Hundred is. You can Google it. That name alone probably tells you everything you need to know about the area where I grew up in Chicago. That was the nickname for it. So that nickname by itself should tell you all you need to know. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, how do you go from the south side of Chicago to Bondurant, Iowa, a population of like 7,300 people? And to be honest with you, I ask myself that same question all the time. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's one of those things that just kind of happened. Growing up in Chicago, I was a bit of a nerd. If anyone remembers this show, I kind of looked a lot like this guy growing up. I kind of look a little bit like him now. That's okay. I was a little bit of a nerd growing up in Chicago. I was one of those kids that was into science and history and those kind of things. And sure enough, I still asked for the He-Man and the Nintendo games at Christmas, but I was also the guy that was asking for microscopes and telescopes and magic sets. So if that gives you any idea of the kind of nerd that I am. And just to further cement my nerddom, one of the things my parents gave me or purchased for me when I was a kid is they bought me a set of these. I'm going to test and see how up to speed everybody is. They bought me a set of these. Anybody know what these are? In the chat, You go ahead and put it in the chat. What, if anyone knows, what are these? Yes, the encyclopedia. Anybody know specifically which one? Yes, you got it. Vivix, I believe they say, hopefully I'm saying it right. That's the Encyclopedia Britannica. That was the Google search of my day, the Encyclopedia Britannica. And I would literally spend hours in these things, man. I would be looking up different information, learning little fun facts and different bits of information. That was just my jam. That's what I just love doing, all these little weird little facts. But oddly enough, one of the things that I didn't see anything about hardly in that encyclopedia was the subject of money. And it's the one thing, that subject is the one thing that gives people so much grief and so much pain, especially when it's mismanaged. And I never learned a thing about money growing up. It wasn't something that we discussed. And if I'm being honest, this next slide here kind of talks about what my picture of money was growing up. This is what I thought about money. This picture gives a really great representation of it for me, what it was like without any absolute knowledge about money or how to grow real wealth. So everyone around me was broke and living paycheck to paycheck. My parents never talked about money, and anytime they talked about it, it was usually in a negative. So even though those encyclopedias, they were great, I still lacked a lot of really basic knowledge of how to build a strong financial foundation. And I didn't have a clue about how to create and pass on generational wealth. And so as I got older and started working in financial services, I realized that I was missing out on a lot of stuff, because here I am working in corporate America, doing these different things and making great income, but had no clue what I was doing. So I want to see if that resonates with anyone as well. In the chat, if you can do me a favor, did you learn healthy habits or lessons about how to build wealth and manage wealth when you were growing up? If so, put yes in the chat. If no, just put no. Yes or no. Did you learn healthy habits about money? Oh, got a few no's coming in already. Nope. Mina said nope. She put an emphasis on it. Nope. Kofi, yes. So that's good. That's good. Not a lot of people get that. Eduardo, yes. Benita, no. Then a yes. No. So a little mixed bag, but it looks like it's more no's across the board here. And I've always wondered about that and why we don't talk about this topic enough. And it kind of reminds me of the movie Encanto. For people that have seen Encanto, I have small kids. I have 4 kids, 13, 10, 8, and 3. So Disney and Blippi is pretty much always on my house. That's all that plays all day long. But there is a scene in that movie Encanto. They sing this song, "We Don't Talk About Bruno." And Bruno's this character in the movie that he's always in the background. He's always lurking around. Everyone blames him for all of their family problems, but nobody talks about Bruno. And money is kind of the same thing. You know, we don't talk about money as we should in this country. And so my question for the group, and feel free, I want you to come off a little bit. If somebody wants to raise their hand and come off mute, that's perfectly fine. But my question for the group is simply this: why is that? Why is the case? I had a lot of no's, a lot more no's than yeses in the chat. Why do we not talk about money? Why do we struggle to talk about this subject in our families? When we're growing up, we're raising our children. I'd love to hear your input. You can put your thoughts in the chat, but if somebody wants to be brave and raise their hand to come off mute, I'd love to hear somebody's thought on that also.
Yeah, I will talk about that. The education system. The education system is not allowing you to talk about money. They don't teach you anything about money in school. So when you graduate and you're fresh, you have no idea how the money works.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, the education system doesn't teach. So if the education system isn't teaching us, then whose responsibility is it to teach us?
Well, eventually it's going to be like, need to be a self-motivation. So we need to teach ourselves, find resources. There is a lot of resources, but the idea of, you know, I believe you hear about the poor dad, rich dad, right?
Yep.
So there's 2 sides, one pulling you to the other side, and the other one, which is your ambitions, you know, you want to work free and build businesses. So, you know, that's the battle actually. It's a self battle.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Benita, in the comments, I see your comment, the parents don't know either. That's a great point, right? Because my parents didn't know. My parents were born in the 40s. They grew up in the deep South. They had to encounter things that I never even had to dream of. They didn't know. They did the best that they could with the information that they had, but they didn't have the information to share. They didn't know a stock from a Reese's Pieces. Right? They had no clue. But why? What do you think? What have been some reasons why you think maybe you didn't discuss money in your household? Was it just a taboo subject? Was it something that you just didn't talk about? What reasons do you think that you didn't specifically grow up? I know we didn't talk about it because we had it was a kind of a taboo around it. It was like, well, I think they partly didn't just want me to know how bad they were struggling and how much they didn't know. So I think they just wanted to keep it secret. I see a comment said no extra money to talk about. That's a good one. It's kind of hard to talk about something if you don't have it. Jamie says it was taboo. Money only discussed by those who pay the bills. So maybe there's a traditional component to it, right? Or where, look, we're not going to talk about this in front of the kids or all those things. Those are great reasons. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. Feel free to keep adding different things in the chat and keep interacting with each other in the chat as well here. Let's go back into this a little bit. This is why I'm so glad that you agreed to have me come and talk about this topic about money here. And this kind of goes into this quote, which I love very much here. It's from Tony Robbins. It says, you either master money or on some level, money is going to master you. I 1,000% agree with this statement. Either we will learn to master money or on some level, it will learn to master us, or master our emotions, etc. So I want you to pay really close attention to this image that I have here on the screen. I'm going to use this metaphor of a house to frame up what we're going to be doing for the rest of our time together. So everybody here tonight on this call, or everybody listening to this recording right now, you are all in the process of building some type of financial house. The problem for most of us is that we don't know what to build. We don't know what type of rooms to put in it. We don't know what needs to come first. We don't know what foundation it needs to be. And so we're out here trying to build this perfect structure of a financial home. And we're going on YouTube. We're trying to find the latest guru. We're trying to do all these things to figure out how to be successful with our money. But the reason that a lot of us struggle in this area is simply because of this. We lack this, a blueprint to follow. Just like a home that needs structure, it needs a blueprint in order to build. Your finances are the exact same way. You need a blueprint to follow as well, to let you know, well, what needs to be in this home? What makes a good financial home? How do you even know what you're missing if we don't have a blueprint to follow, right? So this is going to frame up a lot of what we're going to talk about here today, because you may have missing rooms in your financial house. You might be putting more emphasis on one thing over the other. Maybe you're if we use that metaphor again, maybe you're someone that you're building out 15 bedrooms and there's no place to go but to the bathroom, right? You're missing the mark here on something. And anytime we don't have a legitimate blueprint to follow, or anytime that we're not certain of what needs to be in the room, what we're even missing, we usually end up with a financial house that looks like this. I deal with I've coached and taught thousands of people over the years, and I've run into a lot of people that their financial homes looks exactly like this. I've run into a lot of people where they thought their financial homes looked better than they really were, but they didn't realize there was termites lurking, and there was some holes in the plumbing and some things that they weren't even aware of. So this is where we're going to do for the rest of the night. So let me show you kind of the agenda. Let's talk about this a little bit of what we're going to get into. So a couple of things I'm going to talk about tonight here with the time that we have. And trust me, this time is going to fly by super fast. First thing I want to talk about is how to create a vision or a philosophy for your money. If we go back to that whole concept of building a financial house, right? This is the why are you building? Or what are you building? Everybody has to have a strong why. Why are you building the financial house that you say you want to build, right? So we're going to figure that out. And then the bulk of our time, I'm going to spend a ton of time on number 2 here and talk about an overview of what I call the 13 wealth management issues. If we use that metaphor again, think of this as the rooms that you need to have in your house. Now, I'm not going to be able to go super in depth on each of these things. It's an overview. It's designed for you to be able to look at it and say, oh, yep, I'm missing that. I'm doing okay here. I need to go back and look at this. And then maybe at a later time, I'd love to come back and dive into each of these things, in more detail. But this is meant to give you an overview, just so you can assess the condition of your financial home. If you're with me, give me a thumbs up or something in the chat. I'm used to hearing people or seeing things when I speak. So feel free, give me a thumbs up, give me something in the chat. Let me know that you're still rocking with me. One of the other things we're going to look at is I want to talk about techniques for establishing financial goals. So once we look at these 13 wealth management issues, and the issues that you may start saying, oh, I have a deficit here. Okay, well, how do I create a goal to go after that deficit that I have? So we're going to talk about that as well. And then we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A also at the end. So So let's dive in. Once again, I'm going to scan that chat again because I don't see any thumbs up. And unless I see some thumbs up, I don't know if we're good to go. So I got to see Jamie's giving me one. Okay, I see a couple there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Awesome. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I see a couple of, okay, perfect. We'll keep it going here. So let's talk a little bit about vision and philosophy of money. When you hear the word vision, you put this in the chat, or if you want to come off mute, that's fine as well. When you hear the word vision or philosophy, what thoughts come to mind? When you hear that word, what comes to mind when somebody says, "Oh, I need a vision or philosophy for my money," or just a vision in general? What are some of the things that you think of? Well, that says a goal. That's good. So it's some type of goal. Okay, we got see goal again coming through. Big picture. Ali, I like that. Big picture. I like that. That's a good concept. What's the big picture? G says a plan. Kofi, mindset. That's good. I like that mindset. I see someone says the future, purpose. Awesome. That is fantastic. Those are all great things to think about. Way of life. Thank you. Yes, that's awesome. I see that. Great things to kind of look at. I'm gonna give you a kind of a philosophy to kind of think of as we kind of dive a little bit deeper into this. So when you think about vision or philosophy, this image here paints a really good picture of what I think of when I hear this concept, right? So for me, vision bridges the gap between who and where we are and where we want to be, right? From the state of we're on one side here to the other side where we're going to obviously reach our fullest potential and we actually become who we want to become and do the things that we want to do. So when we apply this concept to our finances, what we're really looking at is this. When you have a clear vision of what you want to have happen with your money, you are going to be able to make better decisions. A lot of people that I counsel or work with, they don't have a very clear vision of the house they're building, what they want their money to do, of what they value. And so they spend a lot of time chasing after someone else's idea of financial success. And anytime we do that, we're always going to be at a deficit because of that. So here tonight, I wanted us to focus on really paying attention to what is it that I individually value and what is it that I want to do so that you can make better decisions with your money based on that. And this is going to be different for everyone, right? Everybody may have a different philosophy. For some people, generosity and giving and charitable work may be high on that list. For other people, experiences and travel is something that they value, and that might be high on that list. It's going to be different for everyone. The key thing to remember here is that if you don't have one, someone will create one for you. So, I'm going to repeat that because that bears repeating twice. If you don't have one, someone will create one for you. So it is imperative that we figure out what success looks like for us and our families so that we don't allow someone else's ideas of success to creep in. Okay. Hopefully you're still with me. If I want to put it simply like this, I'll put it simply like this. Simply stated, having a vision or a philosophy for your money is you defining what financial success means and looks like for you, and then taking the steps to live that out. That's what it is. And I approach finances very differently. And a lot of times when I do teaching or speak about finances, I spend a lot of time talking about this concept, and people are like, man, I thought we were going to talk about budgets and stuff. We will, right? But we got to get this first, right? Because if we don't understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to create, we may spend a lot of our time putting our money in things that we don't value and that don't really give us value and significance in our lives. So have you ever seriously thought before about what does financial success mean to you? If you've ever thought about that, put yes in the comments, yes or no in the comments. Have you really seriously thought about, what does it mean to me? Does it mean having a certain house? Does it mean having a certain amount of money in the bank? Ali says yes. Yes, good. Most people don't. You're above bar already, Ali. William says yes. That's good, and I'm glad you have. I want you to do that because this is so important to do. I love this quote. This is my kind of personal philosophy as I kind of think about money is only a tool. It'll take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. I love that quote. Chris Rock says it like this. He says, wealth is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of options. I love that as well. So when I think about my own personal philosophy around money, I kind of view it this way. My personal philosophy is that money is really just aligns with that quote. It's just a tool. It is nothing more than that. It's a very useful tool, but just like a tool, it needs to be given a very specific purpose. So often we're really programmed to think I maybe need more money, I need more, but we don't think about why more. What is it that you want to be different in your life? What exactly do you want to do with it when you get the more? This is where having that vision for your money, this kind of financial vision comes into play. Because beyond just having the basic stuff about life, right? Paying bills, doing these things, money has the power to really transform the way you spend your time. And really has the power to transform your life and the lives of individuals around us. So developing this philosophy early on is going to be key. So with that said, it's your turn now. I want us to take a few seconds. We're actually going to go into our very first breakout session. So Ron, that's your cue to get us ready here in a second. I'm going to talk about what we're going to do during this breakout session, what I'm going to have you do. What I want you to spend a little bit of time doing is having a conversation with the people in your group about your philosophy around money. What is it? If you haven't thought about it before, that's okay. This is a great time to think about it. What is your philosophy? And a little exercise that I want to give you to do to help you have these conversations. We're going to do what I call a value exercise around your money. So what this looks like is you go ahead and take out a sheet of paper. If you have one, I should have told you earlier because I'm going to have you writing. So get a sheet of paper, get a pen, or you can kind of think of it in your head too as well if you don't have anything to write with. But on a sheet of paper, what I want you to do is just list out 3 to 5 things. Keep it short. Just say 3 things. We'll keep it super short that you say you value most, right? Maybe it's family. Maybe it's education. Maybe it's legacy. Maybe it's entertainment. Maybe it's chasing after your dreams. I don't know what it is. Everybody's going to be different. So write out those 3 things. Oh, it's family. It's this, is this, is that. Okay. So once you get those 3 things, I want you to write those 3 things down. Then the next thing I want you to do is I want you to write out, and this could be a rough estimate because I know everybody may not notice off the top of their head, but get a rough estimate. How much do you think you spend on the things that you said you value per month? So if you say you value family, okay, well, how much are you spending per month to spend time with your family? If you say you value health, about how much are you spending per month on your health? Whatever it is you say you value, how much are you spending on it? And then the next thing I want you to do is we're going to assign some percentages to it, right? So based off of your income. So if I make $5,000 a month, but I spend, $100 or something a month on entertainment or whatever, that's going to give me a percentage. Okay. And I'll show you here on an example to kind of give you an idea what we're looking at. So if you look at here on the screen, and this is just some numbers I just kind of made up and kind of threw in here, but let's say one of the things I put down that I valued was my family, right? And I do a quick estimate in my head and I say, you know what? I think I maybe spend $100 a month on family outings, family activities, things like that. And let's say I bring in $5,000 a month income. So when I do the math, 100 divided into the 5,000, that's about 2% of my pay is going to family. Do I really value family if only 2% of my pay is going towards it? Now that's for you to decide. I can't give you that answer, right? This is just an exercise for you to decide and look at, is what you say you value, is your money really going to line up with those things? Maybe it's your church or your faith, or maybe it's vacations. Once again, maybe it's health. If you value health, but $0 is going to health, maybe there's a misalignment there. So what we're looking for is misalignments, okay? Is everybody with me? If I can get a thumbs up or real quick, I'm gonna give everybody a couple of minutes. I see a thumbs up from Ron. We're not going to do breakouts just yet. I want to give you just a second or two just to write some things down, get a couple of thoughts, and then we're going to go into the breakout session. I'll give you a few minutes there so you can have a conversation and chat a little bit about them. And then when we come back, I want to debrief. I want to kind of have a few people share a little bit. And when we do these conversations about money, I always tell people we got to be courageous because a lot of times it's hard to have these conversations with maybe strangers or people about money. But this is where those breakthroughs happen and we can really start paying attention to what's important to us. Okay. So here's what we're going to do next here. We're going to do a breakout session. Oh, sure, Alex, I'll post those questions again here. I'll go back to that. Let me go back to that real quick. There we go. So once again, you're writing out 3 things that you value, right? Could be family, education, whatever. And then you're going to determine how much am I spending on that per month? Rough estimate, perfectly fine. Okay, you can go home later and then dive in and do the real math later. And then we want to get a percentage. How much do you think of your income per month are you spending on that? So in this example again here, it's if I say I value family, but if I say, man, I'm only spending about $100. I make $5,000 a month. 100 into 5,000, that means I'm only spending 2% of my income per month on family, right? And so then after that, I want you to break into groups, and we're going to do this values exercise. I want you to share and just say, hey, you know, I value this, I value this. You know, I don't think my spending is lining up, or you may discuss also what your particular philosophy around money is as well. Okay. We'll keep going. Hopefully you had some good conversations. And once again, this is an exercise I like to do because I really don't think we think enough about how we spend our money, and the things that are important to us and why we do what we do. So this is going to be good exercise, just if nothing else, so we can have an idea of what we say is important, and maybe we can make more of an effort and be intentional about making sure we're lining up our spending with the things that we say matter the most to us. I'm going to go back. I'm going to share my screen. I want to dive back in to some of the material that we have here, and we'll kind of keep going as we keep going. So what I want to dive into now that we kind of did that little exercise, I want to talk a little bit about financial planning. Particularly, I want to talk about the 13 wealth management issues. And really what this is really just a guide to help you, once again, if we use that metaphor, what type of room should you have in your house, right? And once again, the room should be the same. Everybody should have some factor of these rooms in your financial home. How you execute on them is going to look differently for everyone, right? So once again, everybody should have a kitchen, a bathroom, a place to sleep, right? But some houses might have 5 bathrooms or an extra large kitchen, right? So we all want to have the same things. So as we kind of think about America and money, only 30% of US households have a long-term financial plan. Only about 24% of millennials can even demonstrate any financial literacy at all in general. So when we think about what is a financial plan, what are we trying to achieve here? And my definition is simply this. A financial plan is the process of examining the entire picture of your finances and then establishing a goal and then aligning that with the finances with those goals. So we're looking at the entire picture, not just a small piece of the puzzle. And we're trying to figure out how do all these pieces fit together, and so that we don't get anything out of alignment. And key thing to kind of think about here is that the plan is going to identify, organize, and prioritize your goals. And then it's going to outline steps that we need to achieve those things. Now, I asked for a polling question to kind of pop up, and I wouldn't mind doing that poll real quick. If we can get that poll popped in real fast. I'm going to stop sharing just so we can make sure we see it. But in the poll, I'm going to just poll the group, where there's about 50 something people in the room right now, is do you currently have a full financial plan for your money? Just hit yes or no. Do you have a full financial plan? Have you looked at everything and all together? All right, about 80%, 82%, still got a few votes coming in, kind of waffling a little bit here, right? All right, perfect. Well, out of 28, 30 people, this is good. This is good to kind of see where we are in the room with this. So right now, the no's unfortunately are winning. But that's okay. We're going to talk through this stuff tonight. All right, so roughly about right now, we're about 74% say no, 26% says yes. Okay, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, even though a few people may not have answered. That's okay. So right now it's about 74% say no, 26 say yes, they do. Let me go back to sharing my screen here. This is going to be important. For those individuals, definitely pay attention. Definitely pay attention. I'm a big fan of my quotes. You hopefully know this by now. I love this quote. Success doesn't just happen, it's planned for. We have to plan for the things that we want our finances to do for us. So when I think about, well, what are the things that we should be planning? What are the things that you should be planning, right? So right now I'm going to talk about the 13 different items, and then I'm going to then go into each one of them and break them down a little bit more in detail. So what should a good financial plan include? So in my personal opinion, a good financial plan should include all of these 13 things I'm going to talk to you about. Every single thing. Because once we know the elements that make up a good financial plan, then we should be able to see where you might have a deficit. And then we can make goals to correct that and make sure that whatever those goals are, they align with our values. So that's once again why I had you do that little value exercise in the beginning. Now, bear in mind, I could literally spend a 2-hour class on each of these individually, right? So I want to re-emphasize again that this is just an overview. It's meant for you to be able to quickly see like, oh yeah, that. So that then you can assess and take that information and figure out, okay, what do I need to start making goals around to get these different things incorporated into my plan, okay? So the very first thing that I always say starts with your plan is your vision for your money. your goals. How are you trying to live your life? What is it that you're hoping to accomplish? What's important to you? That's why we started with vision, right? All of these things should be, that I'm going to talk to you about, should be guided by whatever that is for you individually. So the first thing, and these are not in a particular order, I'm just going to kind of call them out, and then once again, we'll go more detailed into each one as we go. The very first thing that needs to be a part of your plan is a cash flow plan. Now, when you hear cash flow planning, just think spending plan, right? I hate using the dreaded B word of budget. Ugh, don't use that word. I hate that word. Spending plan is a lot better to me. So what is your spending plan looks like? And we'll dive deeper into that here in a moment. The next thing is, what is your debt management plan look like? Do you have a debt management plan? First of all, right? What does that look like for acquiring additional debt in the future? What does that look like? The other thing that we will look at is, what is your emergency plan, right? For emergencies, back in the day, grandma would have the rainy day fund, right? The little coffee can with a couple of dollars tucked away for emergencies. What does that look like for you? And what does that look like for a good financial plan to have that be a part of? Vehicles for wealth creation. I'm going to dive into that here a little bit as well. There's 3 pillars for wealth creation. I'm going to give you a little bit of that here in a moment, but you want to be activating in at least one of these 3 pillars. If you're not activating in one of these 3, I hate to say it, but you won't create the wealth that you probably want to create. And this is from many, many years of doing this and working with clients that were multimillionaires and examining their lives and understanding kind of how they operated as well. Tax planning should be a part of your overall plan, right? What about insurance planning? We'll dive into that here a little bit also. Health planning. You might say, well, what does that mean? Oh, we're going to get into that too. Don't worry about it, but that should be a part of the plan. Retirement planning. What does retirement look like, right? Well, what about growth and enjoyment? Now, this is a weird one because some people may think, well, what do I need to know about that? We'll talk about this a little bit more here, but this is really more about how am I enjoying the finances that I'm building up. What about estate planning? Most people do not like to talk about this one. And most people may think, well, I don't have enough money to talk about this one. You're wrong. You do. Everybody needs to talk about this one. And we're going to dive a little bit into this tonight as well. Charitable giving and mentorship. What does that look like? If you're a person that likes giving or mentorship, what does that look like for you? And lastly, having a diverse network. Once again, I'm just going to give you a little bit of each one of these. Don't let the volume of these 13 things overwhelm you. That's not the point of tonight. The point of tonight is to take a 30,000-foot view and show you what these different components are, once again, so you can know where there might be a deficit in your finances right now and in building your own financial house. So here's what I want you to do. Grab a pen and some paper because we're getting ready to go deep here. We're starting right now. And as I go through these different things, once again, feel free. Mika says a vacation house vision. I like that. That's a great vision. that's a really good vision. I want you to grab a sheet of paper and a pen. And as we go through these things, I just want you to mark and say, oh, I have a deficit here. Or, oh, I think I'm okay here, because that's going to be your guide then to figure out, okay, where do I need to start? Because the problem I think a lot of people have is just knowing where to start, because there's so much information out there. There's so many different things that we're getting bombarded with. Oh, I need to do crypto, or I need to do this, or I need to go buy gold, or I need to do all these different things, or I need to go get 50 rental properties tomorrow. I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't have your foundation to your financial home secure, any of those things that you try to do will not stand on solid ground, because the moment something comes along, some kind of bump in the road, you won't even have the option to even give that thing a chance to flourish, because now you're going to be drawing from it or doing something else from it. So making sure these different elements are in place are going to make sure that you're building your financial house not on sand, but on some solid ground. Okay.
Ephraim,
All right. Please.
Can you repeat that? If you don't have a foundation.
Yeah, if you do not have a foundation, your house is going to fall apart. I'm not saying it exactly verbatim, but if you do not have a solid foundation, any of these kind of things that we see people talk about on social media, oh, I want to get gold, I want to do flipping houses, everybody's a guru nowadays, and everybody wants you to buy their product and do something with them. I get it. That's how they make their money, right? Nothing against those people. But what I have learned in the 20-something plus years I've been doing this, in the thousands of people that I've taught, in the thousands of people that I've probably counseled over the years, is that if you do not have your foundation properly set, those things will not work the way you want them to work, or you're taking more risks with those things than you need to. Okay. So hopefully everybody's with me. So hopefully you got your pen. Let's dive into this. Once again, if you got a question, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll ask that Ron and Jamie kind of monitor, because I'm kind of looking, so I won't be able to see if there's a question or something pops up. So the first thing, cash flow planning. What is that here? That is simply this. Once again, on your sheet of paper with your pen, you answer this question for yourself, because only you need to answer it. Are you using a spending plan on a monthly basis, i.e. budget? Okay. Why do you need to do this? This is going to help you to control the flow of money in your life. Money is active, it's flowing, it's always moving. And if you do not have a spending plan, how do you know that when you say you're spending money on family or health, that you're actually really doing that? How do you know that money isn't being wasted or going on frivolous things, or being or on 50 Netflix and streaming subscriptions that you don't even watch? Or how can you even begin to figure out how much money you may even have to pay towards debt, or to put towards retirement, or to put towards your vacation house, Mika, if we don't have a spending plan to be able to tell us what we can actually do with our money, right? You got to get this. Make sure your spending plan aligns with your goals and your vision. That's one of the key things. Once again, I could literally do 2-3 hours just talking about how to effectively do a spending plan. That isn't the purpose, again, here of tonight. I'd love to come back and we can do that some other time. But just a couple of key takeaways as we talk about spending plans. Number one, you should do one every single month. Why? Because your money changes. Things happen, different things come up. A family member might have an emergency. Things happen from month to month where you may need to make adjustments. So we need to figure out what those adjustments are. As you do it more and more, it gets easier, and then you have to do that kind of stuff a little bit less. I'm a big fan of zero-based budgeting. If you're not sure what that is, Google it, look it up. It is basically where you take your income. I make $5,000 a month. I have $5,000 worth of expenses. Every single dollar should be accounted for. So, because I want to be the person that tells my money what to do, right? And if you don't tell your money what to do, someone else will tell your money what to do, and they will gladly tell your money what to do. They can't wait to tell your money what to do. So we have to create the plan for that. And the other key takeaway I want to leave you here with this is that your spending plan needs to be automated. Most spending plans fail because we try to enact that we have more will than we really do. My spending plan is 100% automated. I literally put it on autopilot. All the funds go where it needs to go. All the investing does what it needs to do. All based on the vision me and my wife have. If we're going to buy another rental property, or we're going to buy some land or something, then that money's flowing wherever it needs to flow, right? The same thing, he needs to be a part of yours. Overall financial plan as well. It is the key, the foundation of having a key financial plan. No good business worth their salt doesn't have some kind of spending plan. If anybody's worked in corporate America for a minute, I guarantee you every single company you've ever worked for, if they were worth their salt, I bet you Colaberry has some type of a budget or financial thing as well, so they can attest to the different spending and the needs and the growth that happens within their organization. So that's the first takeaway. I'll pause real quick. Any questions about the spending plan, anything at all there before I move on? Once again, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand, and we can kind of address those as we go.
What is automated?
What is automated?
Yeah.
Great
Paying
question.
off your bills is automated, or you mean your savings are automated?
Everything is automated. So everything I want to have happen with my money is automated. So if I say, for example, I want $2,000 to go into this investment account every month, that's automated. If I want so much thousands of dollars to go into my emergency fund, that's automated. If I have bills that have to be paid and they're paid on a regular basis, that's automated. My giving that I do to my church, that's automated. I want to remove myself as much from the equation as possible when it comes to money. You set the plan up first, and then you automate your intentions. That's where most people fail. They make these plans and they say, I'm going to do X, X, and X, but then they can't live on their budget because they don't do anything with it, right? But if I automate it and tell my money to go to all these different places, and I maybe just live out of just one little checking account that's my spending account, well, then I'm less likely to mess up my plans, because we're human. Let's be honest, we screw up, right? So if I can take advantage of technology and automate all of these different things, the better. Hope that answered it for you.
Yep,
Awesome.
I wouldn't trust myself on spending, honestly.
I'll be honest with you. It's about, a lot of people think we have more willpower than we actually have. It's like dieting and eating, right? Would you do better if I just took all the junk food out the house, or if I had a bunch of McDonald's and said, hey, walk by and let's see how much you won't be tempted? McDonald's fries are the bomb. I love them. I'm not going to walk past McDonald's fries. The best thing for me is to not have them in the house. I don't want to have to think about it. That's the best thing to do. All right, so that's cash flow planning. Once again, these topics go deeper than this. I'm just giving you kind of samples of some of these different topics, right? And there's another different techniques that I teach people about how to effectively live on a spending plan, how to create one, how to automate it so that you don't have to think about it. But we can get into that some other time. Next thing, debt management planning. Here's a question for you to ask yourself. Is your strategic versus non-strategic debt out of alignment, right? Strategic versus non-strategic debt out of alignment. Consumer debt is the killer of generational wealth. William earlier in the call mentioned his family, and that was very important to him. I saw Ali looks like he had his child with him there. So I can already tell that family and generational wealth and those kind of things, or legacy, might be important to a lot of people on the call. Consumer debt will destroy that. Whatever that thing is, it will destroy that. If you have consumer debt, what is your plan to pay it off? Once again, there's techniques to do that. There's things called debt snowball. There's free debt snowball calculators that you can do to actually figure out that plan and do that. Now, when I say strategic versus non-strategic, let me explain what I mean. For me, non-strategic is consumer debt. It's credit cards, cars, spending money on trips, clothes, anything that does not potentially add to your net worth, right? Over time, it's the stuff that's going to evaporate, right? Strategic debt for me is the things that have the potential to continue to increase in value. So I own rental properties, right? Under an LLC. I consider that to be strategic debt. I'm not paying for it. My tenants are paying for it, and it's continuing to increase my net worth for me. That's strategic. If there's a strategic loan that I might be taking out to join a partnership with a business, that might be strategic. But once again, we want to get the non-strategic debt completely knocked out. And if we have to take on debt, we do it sparingly, but more on the strategic side, right? And leverage. If your FICO score is trash, what's your legal plan to improve it? I know there's a lot of people on Facebook say they can get you an 820 in 2 days, but doesn't work that way, right? So once again, key takeaway: strive to eliminate all your non-strategic debt here. I'm going to keep going unless there's questions, and there'll be time at the end for questions. But if you do have a question, just feel free to raise your hand or pop it in the chat. But I'm going to keep going unless there any chance. Emergency planning, right? So what do I mean when I say emergency plan? So once again, with your pen and paper, you take the little check mark. Are you prepared for financial emergencies? That this is a key component of a financial plan. So emergencies are not if situations, they are when situations. I'm going to repeat that again. They are not if situations, they are when. They will happen. And how prepared you are for when these things happen is going to help you in your overall financial plan as you continue on your journey to increase your net worth. So this is going to help you weather those different storms. And it can also protect your investments. If there's anybody on the phone that is into investing, in a down market. We're in the middle of a down market right now, right? What if you had no money set aside for emergencies, and now an emergency happens and all your money is tied into investments, and now I got to pull out at a point in time where the market is not doing so great, and now I've just basically locked in all those losses and not giving myself a time for those returns to come back up, right? So having some liquid cash that is accessible will help you be able to better navigate and maneuver, right? So key takeaways here, I tell people we want to strive for at least 3 to 6 months of whatever your living expenses are, right? In cash or safer investment vehicles. I just moved about $20,000 to I-bonds because I-bonds are paying like 9.6% right now. They're crazy safe. It's backed by the government. You're not going to beat 9.62% on a safe investment right now. So I literally just moved some funds, but they weren't money it's money that was part of a emergency plan, right? It's money that's just there in case something were to happen, right? So once again, strive to build that. Maybe you start off small, so maybe it's just $1,000 or a couple of $100, and you start there, and then you keep growing it slowly over time, right? And just the key thing is we want to make sure that those accounts are keeping up with inflation as best as possible. Okay. All right, I'll keep going. Once again, if you got a question, feel free. I'm going to throw a lot of information at you, so don't let it go. Just keep using your little sheet of paper and your pen and keep marking off. I may have a deficit here. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to get discouraged if you, as I go through this and you say, man, I got a lot of deficits, right? That's okay, because knowledge is power, the old G.I. Joe saying, right? The more you know. I'd rather know so I can take proper steps with professionals to fix the problem than not know and keep going on with life as though everything is okay. All right.
Can we ask a question now?
Yeah, feel free. You can ask a question anytime you want. Go ahead.
Can you go back? Okay. The key takeaways, the second bullet point, make sure this account is keeping up with inflation. Are you going to expatiate on that further?
Yeah. So thank you for that. And once again, yeah, unless someone asks, I'm going to keep moving. But yeah, so when I say keep up with inflation, right? So if we have liquid money that we're not going to tie in with our actual investments, like the markets and things that fluctuate, we want money to be a little bit safer in case we actually have an emergency, right? A funeral, something comes up that I need to go to. I really don't want to risk that money. So I can't have it in a investment that is going to keep fluctuating up and down or doing a lot of different weird things. I need it to be pretty safe and pretty liquid. But if I don't keep up with inflation is just, once again, the cost of goods as they rise over time. So if I have all of my emergency money, let's say I got $5,000 in this emergency money, and it's a savings account with Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo is paying me 0.5%. And that's being generous from Wells Fargo. No offense to Wells Fargo, but let's say they're paying me 0.5%. But inflation right now is like around 9%. Well, you're losing money every single year because that $5,000 you had in that savings account is not worth $5,000 a year from now or 2 years from now, because inflation is slowly eroding the buying power of that money. So when I have this safe money, I, at a bare minimum, want to try to keep up with what inflation is doing, or I'm going to keep losing money. Does that help?
Yes. So the solution, because when you put this out, what comes into everybody's brain is to keep such money in the bank. Okay. So how can you keep the money, like make it available anytime you need it, at the same time keep it up with inflation?
Yeah, great question, right? There's a couple of different strategies you can look at. I'm a big fan of online banks, to be honest with you, because they're not brick and mortar facilities. They tend to be able to pay a slightly higher interest rate than like your banks that have brick and mortar places that you can actually walk into. So those, and even those right now, they're paying, I think, around 1.9%, 2%, something like that. And inflation, that's where inflation historically has been, like more around 2 or 3%. Inflation just recently kind of got crazy high. So I would look to some of those online type banks and as a way, because you can still get access to your money pretty quickly, because all you got to do is transfer it from that online bank and you transfer it back to your normal bank, and then you can go spend, do whatever you need to do with it. I personally opted to move some money into high yield savings account. Thank you, or CDs. Yeah, thank you. And you can do something called CD laddering. That's another strategy that a lot of people use. I personally just moved some money into I bonds or inflation bonds because it was funds that I didn't really need, but it was emergency money. So I wanted it to keep up with inflation, but I kept some other funds in one of those high yield savings account so that I can still have access to a little bit of liquid in case I needed it. So I would use that. When you think about a CD is a certificate of deposit. You can get those from a bank. It's basically where you're giving the bank your money and you're saying, hey, here's some money. Hold on to this for me, and then they're going to give you an interest rate back. But once again, each bank is going to be different about how much interest they're really giving you. I personally like the high yield savings as a better option because those are liquid. Usually CDs, you put money in there, they're going to hold it for a little bit or penalize you if you try to take money out too soon. Okay, great question. Great questions. All right, let's talk about vehicles for your wealth creation. Okay, here's what I want you to get from this part here, and in the chat, I'd love to get your thoughts here. There are only 3 main ways to create wealth in this world, period. Only 3. And I tell people all the time, if you do not have a strategy that involves one of these 3, you are not going to grow significant wealth. Now, that may come across very harsh, and I don't mean to be harsh, but after you've done something for a very long time, like I have, sometimes you get direct after a while. So what do you think those three vehicles are? In the chat, what do you think the three main ways? Everyone, whether they're a celebrity, somebody you know, what are the three main ways that people build wealth? Ali says real estate, Alex says sell a product, investment from Kawasa. G says real estate, provide a service, real estate. I see real estate a lot. Martin, real estate. What else do we have here? Yeah, so here I'm going to tell you these three things. Make note of these. Investments, yeah, perfect, Eduardo. Anybody that you think of that has money, they've made their money in one of these three buckets. Plain and simple. One of these three methods, very simple. Number one, small business. Most millionaires in our country, if you do look at the statistics, have been made from some type of small business, right? Some type of side hustle, small business. That's one of the main ways a lot of people in America have made wealth, starting a small business. The next way is real estate, which a lot of people on the line said is real estate. And after that, it's investing. You have to be doing one of these three for long-term wealth, right? Maybe, and that doesn't mean you have to be doing anything big in any of these, right? Obviously, if you can do something in all three, that's great. Maybe investing is just the 401k at your job, right? Nothing wrong with that. I've met a lot of millionaires where they invested through their jobs and their careers over time, and they retired great and had great retirements and great lives just because they took advantage of the 401k and their investments, and they utilized their spending plan to make sure they had enough money to go into these different vehicles. And they never touched anything with real estate investing other than their house. They never opened up a business or anything at all, right? Real estate. Maybe that's like myself, I own a couple of rental properties. So maybe that's investing in some properties, right? Small business. Obviously, if you could do something in all three, the better, but pick one, right? I would definitely tell everybody at a bare minimum, the investing piece, if you have a 401k, something like that from your job, take advantage there, because it's one of the easiest, most passive ways to create wealth over time, right? Small business, real estate, you're going to have some headaches. You're going to have some stuff you're going to have to deal with. Not turning you off from that. I love all of those. I do something in all three, but I'm just kind of re-emphasizing that the most passive, easiest is the investing path. So make sure we have something there as part of your plan. And if you can't afford to put something there right now, that's okay. That's why we're doing this, so you can know, so that you can say, man, I really got to start taking advantage of this 401k. Let me do my spending plan, my budget, so I can try to free up some money, and or let me get this car paid off really fast so I can get out of consumer debt. So now that $400 a month I was paying on my car, I can start diverting into this account to start doing some investing. Okay, is everybody with me on that? I'll pause there just real quick just to see if there's any questions there about those three pillars. And if not, I will keep going. All right, hopefully everybody's still with me. I can't see faces because I'm kind of looking back and forth. So just use the reactions, give me a thumb, and see the chat. So the chat is the main thing that I can see. So hopefully we're still moving here. All right, so choose one of the three pillars. Get help from an experienced professional, not a social media famous person. Get help from an experienced professional if you're interested in one of those three. Just pick one and start with the one. I started with the investing one, right? And as I started kind of learning that and working with clients and started kind of feeling like, okay, I got this piece mastered, or I have some extra income now. Now let me branch off and start doing one of the other two pillars, okay? Tax planning. Okay. Once again, get your pen, your paper out, and you decide for yourself, how well are you doing here? Are you maximizing the current tax code to get the most benefit for you? There are two tax systems and rules in place in America. There's one set of rules for individuals and then another set of rules for business owners and investors. That is why I told you about the three pillars, right? Because our tax code favors those three pillars and people that operate in those three pillars, right? If an individual has investments, those are taxed differently. When you have real estate, I can take depreciation in different things and write it against my income. When I'm a small business owner, I can do, once again, depreciate and do different things that I can't do if I'm a regular employee at a company, right? Once again, having and understanding how the tax code works is then how you can then manipulate it legally. Once again, let me emphasize that, legally, so that you can get benefit from it. You see it all the time on TV. I know you do. You hear every single minute. Warren Buffett himself has even said that he pays less in taxes than his secretary. Warren Buffett, billionaire, one of the richest people in the world, said he pays less in taxes than his secretary. Why? Because he understands the code. For you, a good key takeaway here is a good tax professional is worth their weight in gold. Sometimes we like to try to do a lot of things by ourselves. We like to do the TurboTax thing. That's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying, telling you not to do that, but I'm simply saying that as you want to grow in your net worth and start moving in a certain direction, having a professional that can tell you about some of these different things that you can take advantage of is going to be key, right? Is definitely going to be key. So I'll just leave that there. I'll let that marinate for a little bit, but that is definitely going to be key. We want to make sure we have good tax professionals on our side. Insurance planning. If I see one more Facebook post for a GoFundMe or something for someone's passing or funeral, my goodness, I'm tired of seeing them, because especially within the African American community, I see it all the time. Someone passes away, and now we got to do some fundraising to try to get Meemaw sent off properly, and that's not what we want, right? So once again, on your sheet of paper, do your little check mark for yourself. Are you protecting your family and your vision with enough insurance, right? Things that we need to be looking at: life insurance, health insurance, home, auto, disability. If you're a business owner, do you have umbrella insurance, right? Umbrella insurance is extra liability insurance. Maybe there's nursing insurance that I want to have, right? At a bare minimum, I always encourage people at least get something so people can put you in the ground, right? We don't want to be selling sweet potato pies and do whatever to try to get you in the ground. At a bare minimum, we need to have that. Now, at a high end of that, we should be striving for at least 10 times our annual income in life insurance. But once again, how much you may need in life insurance is going to depend upon you and your goals. I have 4 kids. I have a wife. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's been a stay-at-home mom for 13 years. Something happens to me, I got a lot of life insurance. Now, I don't like to tell her how much, because then I don't want something to mysteriously happen to me either. Until I don't want to just come up missing one day, because if she finds out exactly how much is around for. But I need to make sure that she's taken care of and the kids are taken care of, because I'm the primary breadwinner, right? So I want to make sure that those important things are covered. And at a very minimum, you want to review these things yearly. Minimum. Terry put in there, can you talk about a little bit about index life insurance? I'll touch on that briefly, because that's a very detailed subject, right? A lot of people will try to get online, all these pages, they'll try to tell you about all these different life insurance policies. Oh, you're going to want whole life, universal life, index life. Index life usually is a life insurance policy that's tied to some type of investment or something like that. I don't like mixing my investments with my insurance, because it tends to be much more expensive by doing that. And there's only a few people that I've met out there that actually know how to write some of these policies well, so they can be in your favor. But that's essentially kind of what that is. For most people, a decent term or a whole life is probably going to be what they're looking at. But once again, I can get more detail in that into another time, because we can spend all night just talking about insurance. Once again, the key takeaway for you is just to say, hey, insurance is an important part of a financial plan. It's one of the 13 wealth management issues. Do I have at least enough to bear me? And am I making plans to get enough to protect my family and my vision as my net worth increases? Okay. Number 8, health planning, right? This is a weird one. You wouldn't think to find this in a financial presentation, but are you exercising and eating to promote a healthy lifestyle? Here's something here. Somebody make sure everybody's on mute. That'd be great, because I'm hearing some feedback. Or if Ron or somebody can kind of mute everybody, that'd be great. Growing wealth is great, but being alive and healthy to enjoy it is even better. Right? That's even better. So proper health is going to ensure you have the energy to even grow wealth. I just recently started for the 15th time on my health journey. I'm down like 23 pounds right now, and counting, and I'm keep moving in that direction, because I realized that I can do all this great stuff financially, but if I'm not around to enjoy it, if I'm not around to see my kids enjoy it, what's the point, right? Your health is your real wealth. Take care of your spiritual, your mental, your physical, and your emotional health. Being sick is expensive. Okay. I say that from experience. Being sick is expensive. As you get older, you can protect your finances by protecting your health, right? I've seen a lot of people acquire a little bit of pocket change. They didn't take care of their health. Boom, something happens. Now they're in the hospital or they got some chronic illness, and most of their wealth they accumulate is now going to take care of their health, right? A medical emergency will wipe out a life savings very quickly if you didn't plan for it properly. So one of the best things you can do is to start some kind of regimen to get yourself health in this category. Okay. Number 9, retirement planning. Okay. And I need to see a few thumbs up or a few reactions. I want to make sure people are still rocking with me because I know this is a lot of information, but I want to make sure we're still doing okay. Can I get a couple of thumbs up in the chat, a couple of thumbs up on the reactions? Sir Outlaw, I see you. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up, my man. Anyone else? Just a few thumbs up and I can kind of make sure we're still rocking. Eduardo, thank you. I see the thumbs up. Mika or Mike, I see you. Thank you. Boom. Right. She gave me the double thumbs up. All right. All right. Kofi, I see you. Thank you. Perfect. Awesome. Next thing we want to look at, retirement planning, right? Have you made plans for your retirement? Planning for retirement requires more than dreaming. It means being strategic. Hope is not a plan. Somebody put that somebody hashtag that and put that in the comments. I'm telling you right now, hope is not a plan. All right. I'm a person of faith also, but that by itself is not going to be a retirement plan. Okay, we need to do some strategic things to get retirement where we want to be. So here's the key takeaway. Now, what does it mean to do retirement planning? Retirement planning basically means is how much do I need to retire? How much money do I need to try to accumulate? How much am I planning on spending of that money when I reach retirement age? Is that money going to last me when I get to retirement age, right? Maybe I accumulate $1 million or whatever, and you start thinking, oh, this is going to be all I need. I'm great. You might outlive that, right? So retirement planning is a strategic way of looking at your resources and making sure that you have enough and that the money that you want to leave to your heirs and all these things is enough, right? Do not count on Social Security. Right? Do not count on Social Security 100%. I know some people you've probably read or you've seen online by 2035 or so, Social Security might not be fully funded unless they go in there and they fix it. So if we're in here thinking that that's going to save us, we're going to have some problems, right? So it is up to us to save us with in regards to this finances, right? We need to take initiatives and start doing some things in here. Okay. Number 10, growth and enjoyment. That should be a part of your plan, right? Are you spending money in a way that brings growth and fulfillment to your life, right? Are you spending money to continue learning? Are you spending money to go to conferences and workshops to get out and expand your knowledge and network and rub arms with other people? Are you spending it on hobbies and activities that bring joy to your life? Are you able to when I was growing up, I had a lot of interest and skills. I used to be a fantastic artist. I used to be able to look at a picture and create an exact duplicate of it. Just look at it, be like, boom, and then I hand it to you, like, here you go. It looked exactly like the image that I was looking at. My parents did not have, I used to do poetry, and I would take poetry and writing to them and say, hey, look what I did. They didn't have money to invest in me. Are you hearing me? They did not have the resources to take my talents and help me push that to the next level. So what happened over time, those talents died. If you tried to give me a pen and paper right now, I couldn't do a stick figure. I can barely do a stick figure right now, and I'm being quite honest there. So are you spending money in a way that enhances you and your family? My kids, one of my sons loves swimming. He's a swimmer. I got another daughter doing dance. And I love being able to funnel money into the talents that I see them producing, right? So this has to be a part of your plan. Once again, that's where the spending plan comes in. It's okay to spend within reason as long as you're not compromising your goal. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy experiences and it can buy you time, right? Incorporate these fun things and learning opportunities into your spending plan. I'm really pay attention to that last bullet. Only gardens that are tended to on a regular basis flourish. Are you tending to your garden, or are you just working and paying bills and trying to live and survive? Only gardens that are tended to flourish. Tend to your garden, okay? Number 11, estate planning. I'm about to make some people mad now, I can already tell. Make a few people mad. Estate planning. Are you prepared for the inevitable? Especially within the African-American community, we don't talk about death. Nobody talk about death, because if you talk about it, you're like wishing it to come on. Like if I talk to my dad or somebody, hey, let's talk about estates. Let's talk. You're like, man, don't talk to me about that. Don't wish that on me. Go on, get out of here. We don't want to talk about that. That's just how we did things. We have to talk about this, right? Are you prepared for the inevitable? Preparation now for your passing is going to make things easier for your family and your loved ones, okay? Minimizing your estate tax exposure, and you can also avoid probate. So here's some key documents that you need to have, right? And these are not difficult to do. There's a lot of online vendors where you can go and get this stuff done very cheaply, or you can sometimes even get them done for free, right? Some of these, in some of your employers, they may have employee benefits. I used to have an employer where one of the employee benefits was you could go to a law office and they would actually create the plans for you as part of your employee benefits. I didn't have to pay for a thing. So investigate this. But number one is a will. And here's the thing, whether you have a will or not, you have one, because if you don't have one and you die without one, it's called dying intestate, and the state creates one for you. So whether you believe it or not, you have one. It's just either you're going to have the one that you make, or you're going to have the one that the state makes for you. So it's your choice. Which one do you want? Right? So go ahead and create one. A power of attorney for finances. Okay. So if you become incapacitated, do you have a document where someone can go in and make financial decisions for you? And if you're married, you might think, oh no, my wife or my husband or significant other or whatever can do that because they were married. That's not the case. They still need these documents. I cannot tell you how many clients I've counseled with. I literally had a client one time many years ago when I was at Principal, where I had the lady call me on the phone crying because her husband was in a coma and she had no money, and she needed to try to get money from his 401k to pay for some things. And I had the awesome job of telling her I can't help her because its 401k is under his social security number. No one else can touch that unless he's deceased. I can't help you. Do you have a power of attorney? No. Hardest conversation I had to have. Horrible. Hated having to have that conversation with them. But if they would have done the planning ahead of time, I would have been able to assist her, right? So making sure we have this document. Power of attorney for healthcare, your living will. If I become incapacitated and I can't make decisions in the hospital, who is making those decisions for me, right? Once again, this document is going to help you do that. Are your beneficiaries on your accounts up to date? Here's the thing that a lot of people do not know and do not recognize. Your beneficiaries on your accounts supersede your will. So let's say you have a will and you say in that will, I want to leave everything to my spouse, but you have a old investment account or old bank account that you named your old girlfriend, your old college fling or something, I don't know, and you left them on that account. If something were to happen to you, the beneficiary you named on that account would supersede what you stated in your will. And it will end up going to that old fling and not your spouse. So we got to make sure these things are updated, right? And that they reflect what we want to actually have happen, right? I'm not going to get into the trust and all this stuff because that's a little bit more deeper down the well than I think we need to go today. But once again, the key thing here is, are we planning? Do we have some of these key documents? If I would say out of all the documents you definitely want to look to have, will, POA for finances, POA for healthcare, update your beneficiaries on everything. That's your bare minimum. That's the minimum that you should do. And this is all stuff that you can do over a weekend. The other part of a good estate plan is there someone, a key person that knows where, once you get these important documents, that knows where they are? Does someone know your passwords and your stored things? So like, for example, my wife, I have a Excel file that I keep all of our usernames and passwords on. She has access to it. I have access to it. If something were to happen to me, she knows where all the documents are. She knows where the life insurance is. She knows the passwords to everything. There isn't going to, one of the worst things you can do is in that situation, give your loved ones more work. Okay, they got enough on their mind. They don't need to be wondering about what you had, where is it at, how do I get into the bank account to pay bills. Make it as easy as possible for them. Okay, And the last point of this bullet too, and once again, a lot of people mention family on this call, is very important to them. Well, are you teaching your heirs how to handle what they may inherit? That's your legacy. That's also part of estate planning, right? Because if you do go out and get insurance and you do go out and get all this stuff and protect them, I don't want to turn a bunch of money over to somebody who's just going to go blow it on a bunch of chains and grills. Right? I got to make sure this money is being taken care of. So that's also should be a part of your estate plan. Am I educating people? And if you don't have the knowledge to educate them, because that was stated earlier that sometimes we don't know or parents don't know, then guess what? You need to find someone like myself or other professionals that can help get the information to them. Last two things here, and then we'll take a quick pause here for questions and some other things. Another part of your 13 wealth management issues, charitable giving, mentorship. This is me. What causes are you supporting? Now, this may not be important to you. The 13 wealth management issues is my own creation. There's something that I came up with. If you were to Google 13 wealth management issues, every firm has their own kind of concept of what that is. But usually those concepts are usually around their multi-million-dollar clients and what's important to them. This is the one I created for my people that I work with, because it's the things I feel are important, right? And yeah, what causes are you supporting? Are you regularly giving back your time, talents, and treasure to the communities around you? Are you giving in the most efficient manners, right? I think everybody has something to give. Everyone has some knowledge, some wisdom that can be a blessing to somebody else. So what efforts are you doing as you're accumulating wealth and growing in your wealth to make sure that other people behind you can also grow, right? That may not be important to everybody. That certainly is important to me. And I think that should be some component to everybody's plan. Who are you mentoring as you get older and as you grow more wealth? The generations, especially in the African-American community, they won't know unless someone comes behind them and tells them and shows them. And I believe I'm on the phone right now with a lot of potential leaders or people that are leaders. And so we need more people to grow wealth and then go back and grab other people and show them how to grow wealth as well. Okay. Very last thing that should be a part of your 13 wealth management issue is a diverse network. As I've gotten older, I have learned to appreciate the fact that who you're playing the game of life with really says a lot about what your potential net worth and influence is going to be, right? You become the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with the most, right? Great teams win championships, not great players. Who's on your team, right? I see Ali said, side note, Colaberry is always hiring mentors, instructors, and teaching assistants. Hey, great. I love that. That's a fantastic way, Ali, to give back. But great teams win championships, not great players. Michael Jordan, I'm from the Bulls era, 90s Bulls, right? That's my era. Great player, but he didn't start winning championships until he embraced Pippen and all the other people on the team until they became a team, right? So who is on your team? Once again, key takeaway here, your net worth is your network. And do you have people that you can go to for questions about these 13 issues that I just talked about, right? Feel free, count me as one of them, right? That's perfectly fine. I'll leave my contact information at the end of this presentation. Feel free to reach out to me about any of this stuff. Do you actively try to meet and network with a diverse group of professionals? I'm certified in Franklin Covey training for unconscious bias and things like that. When I present that at corporations and things like that, one of the things I help people do is I help them do a network audit. And I'm not going to do that tonight because we don't have time for that. But what I do in that is I have people think about the top 10 to 15 people that they network with and then do an audit on it to determine, do these people look like me, think like me, have the same educational background as me? Are they the same gender as me? Are they the same faith as me? Because if they are, you don't have a diverse network. Simple as that. And it is through my networking that I've got my opportunity to do a TEDx speech was all because of networking and people and opportunities when I've been on news broadcasts or things to present and speak. It's just been from people that networking. Your wealth is going to be tied to this. So please do make a plan, get out of the house, get off of Netflix, try to find a networking event, something, right, that we can continue to grow in this area, okay? Key takeaways here, and then I'm going to pause for a quick question, and we'll do a couple other things. Number one, a good financial plan is going to force us to think about our priorities because we're looking at everything together, not just an individual piece, right? Usually there's not enough money for everything. So we got to evaluate our options and we got to make smart choices, but those choices should be guided by our values. You might look at when you do your spending plan, you might say, well, man, I don't got enough money to buy all this insurance and do all this stuff. Do what you can and then keep growing. Okay. Same thing with that third bullet point, that don't let the overload of the information I'm giving you keep you from taking action. Small is fine. Take those small steps and just keep moving. Keep moving. If you're going to grow in those 13 areas, that's where you have to do. If I had to give someone a suggestion, if someone to say, hey, Ephraim, out of the 13 things you have listed, where would I start? I would start with the spending plan, the budget. I would start there. Then I would work on to figure out how much money I have, because once again, if I don't know how much money I have to even apply to these other 13 areas, I'm dead in the water. My spending plan tells me how much money I have to then apply towards my debt, to apply towards investing, to apply towards networking, to apply towards getting my health in alignment. Start with your budget, cut where you need to cut, and then reallocate this money in a way so it can start flowing in these other plans over time. Okay, start there. Then the next thing after that would be your emergency money. Maybe it's just $1,000, $2,000. Start there and then stop. Go tackle your debt, right? Ali just posted in there, mint.com. That is a great tool. Correct. It's 100% free. I'll give you another tool that I like. If somebody could put it in the chat, it's called everydollar.com. It's the budgeting app that I use. It's also free. Everydollar.com. I love it because it's a little app. It's free. You can put your budget in there, and then as you spend, you can actually go in there and update it. So you can say, "Oh, I just spent $20 at Costco or whatever," and then you can go in, and then it'll tell you how much you have remaining in that category of food, right? So that you're not worried about, oh man, how much do I got left, right? So once again, utilizing these tools, and I can come back at another time. There's tons of free tools that I could tell you about to utilize. There's Undebted is another great tool that will help you create a free debt reduction plan. Tons of great things that you can look at. All right. Let's talk here. We got to make roughly maybe 20 minutes or so left. We're gonna do one more breakout session, and we're gonna talk about goals, and I'm gonna open it up for just questions over some of the stuff that I've talked about. And then I'll make sure you have my contact information so we can go deeper into these things. Once again, we got to make plans around these things. So let's talk a little bit about this. So now that you've seen the 13 issues, and hopefully you've got your little sheet of paper and you've been marking as we've been going, you've been saying, hey, I got a deficit here. I got a deficit here. I got a deficit here. Once again, start with the budget. That should be your first goal if you don't know where to start. Then go to emergency savings, then debt, etc. Right? But you may say, well, how do I make a goal to even start moving in some of these areas? Right? I want to create a goal so I can start do the estate plan stuff that we talked about, right? Or to do some of these things. The best way that I know to make a goal, and if you've been in corporate America for any amount of time, you've probably seen this, is to do a SMART goal. Okay, if you've seen this before, in the chat, just put yes. If you know what I'm talking about when I say a SMART goal. If you haven't, put no, that's fine. That way I can kind of gauge.
Did we work on these together?
SMART goals? Oh yeah, we did probably, yeah, at some point, yeah, back in the day. If you've been in corporate America for any point in time, you've seen a SMART goal, and that's okay if you haven't. I'm going to explain what they are. I want you to take this concept and apply it to making small goals around your money, because once again, don't get petrified by overload of information. Pick the one small thing that you're going to do, act on that one small thing. When that gets done, then do the next small thing, and then the next small thing. That's how I did any of this stuff, right? Is whether it was buying a rental or doing something else, it was like, okay, let me act on the first small thing I know to do and then keep moving from there, okay? And before you leave tonight, I want you to have your next move. I want you to know what your next small thing is that you're going to be doing so that you can hold yourself accountable to that. So when we talk about a SMART goal, it means something that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So specific, what do you want? Now, once again, apply this to money, because we're talking about money and the 13 wealth management issues that we just talked about. So specific, what do you want? Oh, I want to create a spending plan for my money. That's very specific. That's a good goal. That's specific. Measurable, how will you know when you've reached it? I want to create a spending plan for my money in the next 2 weeks. Okay, that's measurable. That's specific. I know when 2 weeks has passed. That's good. Achievable. Is it in my power to accomplish? Can you make a spending plan? Yeah. Nobody's stopping you, right? Turn off Netflix. Go make a spending plan. You can do it, right? It's achievable. Is it realistic? Can you realistically achieve it? Yeah. It's a spending plan, right? Now, maybe you might say, no, it's not realistic because I don't have the knowledge of how to. Okay, no problem. That means you got to go get with somebody or get the knowledge of the how to, right? Timely. When will exactly will you accomplish this? Once again, it goes back to kind of what I was saying before, right? I'm going to get this done in 2 weeks, right? So here's what I want us to do. We're going to take a quick breakout. And so Ron, get ready on the breakout here. I want you to write a goal for one of the 13 items. Once again, that's why I told you to take out a piece of paper and kind of mark your deficits. Make a SMART goal for one of your deficits. So maybe it's the estate planning stuff. You're like, man, I don't have a power of attorney for finances. I'm not even sure I know what that is, but at least he told me now that I need one, so I can go do some research and figure out what it is, right? So that's a specific goal. I need to create a power of attorney for finances for me and my spouse. Measurable. How will I know when I've reached it? When the document's done, when it's created. Is it achievable? Yeah, I can do that. And if I don't, I can go start Googling and doing some things to get it done. Realistic? Yeah. When I want to have it done by the end of October. Okay, that's what we're going to do next. So it is your turn, right? to get to work. So we're going to do a breakout in a couple of, this is going to be our second and our last breakout session. We'll spend a little bit of time here in this breakout session. And once again, here's the format that I want you to utilize. You can start writing right now. That's fine. And then when you get into your breakout sessions, you can kind of talk through it a little bit as well, but start writing right now. So here's the format you can look at. So right here, number one, what is your SMART goal? My goal is, I'm going to do the budgeting one. He said that's important. That's a good place to start. I'm going to make a SMART goal around that. No, I'm going to make a SMART goal around networking, because I don't have a diverse network and I do need to get out more and tell people about my ideas. Oh, my SMART goal is, he mentioned the 3 pillars. I want to learn a little bit more about one of those 3 pillars and really dive in to see if that's something that interests me. So you're going to put your goal down. My goal is to X. Right. And then you're going to write what's the steps that you got to do to get that goal. 1 step specific. Oh, okay. I'm going to do a budget. Well, I guess the first thing I need to do is I need to gather up my expenses and my income and write that out. Oh, I think the next thing I need to do, maybe I'll go check out that app that he was telling me about. Right. What resources do I need? Oh, for that, I just need a pen and paper. I just need to sit down. I don't really need a bunch of resources there. When are you going to do it? Right. And this last one is super important. Who will I check in with? We need accountability. Once again, that goes back to having a team on your side, right? Teams win championships, not individual players, right? Who can I go to hold me accountable to make sure I'm going to do this goal that I said I was going to do? Okay. Key things that we need to do. And actually, I'm looking at the clock. We only got about 15 minutes, and I do want to make sure there's time to do questions. So if that's okay, Ron and Jamie, I might say let's not do this breakout session, if that's okay.
Yeah. And Ephraim, just so you know, I want Ollie and I to have about 2 minutes at the end too. So yeah, I think we're going to run out of time.
Yeah, no problem. We'll skip that breakout session, but what you can do then, you still can do this goal. This is for you. I want you to have this that you can then utilize for yourself. You need to be able to take that next step. Okay. So once again, take a screenshot of this. The recording will be available. They're recording this. You can come back and watch this later. Perfectly fine. But follow this format. Figure out your steps that you need to take to do. Okay. I'm going to skip the breakout session here. So we're going to skip that. I'm going to get ready to kind of close this here, and then I'll leave us for questions. But I just want to say here, I love this quote again. I'm a big fan of my quotes, if you haven't noticed by now. I love my quotes. John C. Maxwell, we cannot become what we need by remaining what we are. What are you trying to become? Who are you trying to become? What is it that you want your money and your resources to do for you that it's not currently doing? You cannot become what you need to by remaining what you are. Maybe right now you're not a budgeter. Maybe right now you're not an investor. Maybe right now you're not a saver. Maybe right now you're not a planner and thinking about estate planning and wills and all this other stuff. But we need to become the type of person who thinks that way if we're going to achieve the type of success that I believe everybody on this call wants and desires, right? And once again, it's not about knowing everything. You don't have to know. There's other people that know. You just need to know what you need help with. And that's once again, the point of these 13 issues was for me to lay out so you know, oh, this is what successful people are doing with their money. Oh, I guarantee you won't find one wealthy person that doesn't have something in each one of those categories happening. And so if you don't have the knowledge, get the knowledge, right? And you can act on it. I'll leave you with this as well. This is something I always say, and I want to hope this resonates with your spirit. You were not born just to go to work, pay bills, and die. I 1,000% believe that. You're here for something more than just that. And if we make our money and our use of money just going to work, paying bills, and die, then we miss out on a great opportunity of this very short existence that we have. You have an opportunity to create wealth, whatever that looks like for you. You get to define what success looks like for you. And it may be very different. Everybody isn't going to be a millionaire, and that's okay. A lot of you might be, and that's great. Just define it for yourself, okay? Last thing, spread the word. If you've enjoyed this, hopefully this was helpful and beneficial to you. Definitely spread the word about what I do. My contact information is right here on the screen. If you have your phone, you can actually just take a picture of that QR code. All of my contact details and my social media details will be there for you. So if you want to take a picture of that, it'll pop up right on your phone. You can email me as well at ejackson@freetoserve.org. I'd be more than willing to sit down with anyone here to go deeper into any of these subjects. Sometimes it's good to just have somebody that doesn't have an agenda. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm a licensed financial advisor, but I don't sell investments anymore. I don't, I kept all my license and kept all that because I work in the industry, but I don't sell investments or any of that stuff anymore. So sometimes it's good to maybe have somebody that doesn't have an agenda, that's not trying to sell you, to give you their opinion. And maybe you're someone that you already have some plans, and you might say, you know what, my advisor that I was working with was telling me I should do this. It's kind of sometimes good to have a second opinion, once again, of someone who does not have an agenda. Just to sit down with you. So if that's of value to you, that's there for you as well. I just want to thank everyone again for Colaberry and for Jamie for inviting me out. Thank you again. I cannot express enough how awesome it is to be able to share with individuals something that I'm very, very passionate about. So thank you again. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over for questions. There's about 10 minutes left. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just so I can see everybody a little bit better. But if there's questions, I'd love to do my best to try to answer any questions anyone may have.
Okay, we've got one in the chat, Ephraim.
Oh, okay. Thank you. AV says, how to find a good tax planner, a tax attorney, financial planner, investment advisor, etc. Any questions or concerns we should be aware of? Great question. Great question. Let's tackle the financial planner first, because that's one that's near and dear to my heart, right? So I am biased a little bit in this area because I believe in working with people that are fee-only financial planners. I've been a financial planner for a number of years, and when I first got started in the financial planning field, we operated off of your commission, right? You sell a product, you get some commission off of it. But I'm going to ask you, as intelligent adults, if me making money based off of the products that I sell, does that align me more with you as the client, or does that align me more with the products that I may want to sell? Right? If I got the rent due and the bills to pay, and I know this product pays me more, I might be persuaded to move into that product versus the other product that's going to be cheaper for you, right? So I would suggest looking for fee-only financial planners. Look for people that have what's called a CFP designation, or someone that is saying that they are a fiduciary. A fiduciary has a legal obligation to do what's in your best interest. And the reason I like fee-only planners is because you pay them a fee. I'm a fee-only person. I don't charge a percentage of assets or any of that other stuff. My fee is my fee. You pay me, and we coach and I talk, and that's it. Right? And I like that model because I think it lines the person up a little bit better. And not anything against if somebody does take a percentage of assets. I'm okay with that model too, because that tends to line people up better a little bit with that. If you go to the CFP board website, Google CFP, they have a list there of people that are affiliated CFPs, and then you can start there and look from there. When you do get a person that is a licensed individual, make sure they're actually licensed. A lot of people will say they're a financial advisor or something, but they're only licensed, not saying once again that that's bad, but they may only be licensed in insurance. And you're thinking you're getting comprehensive advice, but this person only knows insurance because they're not licensed to talk to you about anything else. And so they're going to pitch insurance because that's the only thing they know how to pitch. You can also go to a website called Finra Broker Check, right? And so you can type in a person's name. You can type my name in there, and it will tell you if they've ever had any indiscretions with the agencies that regulate financial advisors. So if they've had any lawsuits, any bad something come out, you can say, well, wait a minute, this person, yeah, I don't think I want to go to them. So that's one where I start. And then also referrals, right, is another great place. That's why I encourage you to network and get out with folks, right? As you start networking with people that have these type of networks, they'll be able to tell you, oh, this is the tax person I use, or this is the CPA that I use, right? So hopefully that helped a little bit. Benita, thank you so much for.
Hey, Ephraim. So
yeah.
My cousin's grandson just graduated college and became a financial planner. Should I give him all my money?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think you already know what I'm going to answer to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the answer is no. And now here's why. That cousin, that person might be great. They might be a great relatives, but a lot of times I've seen that happen too, where a person starts in a new profession, they go right to their families and they say, hey, can I help you with your money? You want somebody that's experienced. I've been doing this 20-some years. I've worked with clients that have multi-million-dollar figures businesses and done these different things. You learn more when you work with more people because you get exposed to more complex situations. And so now you're able to better say, oh, you know, I've seen this before. You should do X, right? Nothing against that person. Now, if that person says, hey, I'm going to be bringing on some more seasoned, experienced planners to help me with your case, Auntie Jamie, okay, maybe then that's okay because you know there's somebody seasoned behind them and then you can help them out and get some seasoned good. But just because somebody is a relative doesn't mean I'm going to make bad financial decisions. Right?
Well, and I think, you know, since you started this conversation with values, I think making sure that you choose a financial planner that's aligned with your values.
Correct. That is a great point. You want to make sure they're aligned. I'm sorry, you've been waiting there. It was Kilwasha?
I suppose the question, it just kind of came back and kind of surfaced in the last answer that you just got shared. But you got me to laugh a little bit on the GoFund stuff and the baskets, because that's the same thing that is going on in my community, where, you know, people don't want to hear the reality on planning on their money and whatnot. But they want to kind of handouts all the time. And then we break a friendship just because you didn't put anything in their basket. And when it comes to, hey, just wake up and save $50 instead of wrapping it into McDonald's or some chicken fried, whatever, it becomes a problem. So I guess the thing is, how do you overcome that? Because I'm always passionate to get into that. We're in community of what we call diasporic community, where so a lot of them eastern side of Africa, and the battle that keeps eating each one of my people, where nobody really have a trust. When I show up and say, hey guys, do this, they walk away like, this guy's nuts. I just don't get it. This stigma, how do we help to erase that stigma for the Black folks or people from this other culture? I don't know if it's a culture. I don't think it's a culture, because I'm passionate and get that transformed, but you can't make me either, so it's just hurting me.
Okay. And to be honest, that's in a lot of cultures, not just within our particular culture as well. There's a lot of people that just don't like talking about that stuff, right? It is, and I see it in our communities as well. I think one of the best things you have to do for yourself, as everyone here that's on a wealth journey and you're trying to grow your own financial house, remember, it kind of goes back to that old saying about remember about with airplanes and, hey, you know, put your own oxygen mask on first and then secure the other person's oxygen mask. It's a cliche saying, but it's true. You are going to be in a much better position to help individuals and help the community if you're not constantly extending yourself in a way that takes away from your ability to create wealth, right? And the best examples that we can give is to lead by example. right? So if I'm telling people, hey, you should do this, okay, am I doing it for myself, first of all? Right? Because then who's going to listen to me if I'm not doing it myself, right? I always tell people, I don't talk about stuff that I don't know and I don't do, right? You know, a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm going to flip some houses. That's not the type of real estate I am. I'm a buy and hold person. So if you want to talk about flipping, I can't help you with that because that's not what I do. But that's where we got to start. We got to be able to want to have conversations and be able to be open about money. Because if I now can share what I'm doing and not a braggadocious way or anything, I say, you know what, I was speaking to this, I had this call the other day with Colaberry and I was talking to this financial guy. He's talking about the importance of X. You know, I think I'm going to do this. Have you thought about doing that before? Right. Oh, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to get some information. I'll be more happy to come back and share. You start with those small conversations and start winning people over. But you have to, like Benita said it in the comments, charity begins at home. Home is you. Take care of you. And then you will be better equipped to take care of everyone else. Now, one rule I've put in place is like I have created a giving fund for my family. Because giving is important to me. I like giving. We give to our church on a regular basis, but I also have set a separate savings amount of money in an account. And that is, I call it my blessing fund or my giving fund. When situations come up, if somebody needs something, it comes from there. Once that's exhausted, you got to wait till I replenish it. You ain't getting nothing else. Because anything that's in that fund does not affect my goals, my vision, the plans me and my wife got going. That whole fund could erase tomorrow and it's not going to hurt us one single solitary bit, right? It is a way for you to keep the spirit of generosity, which it sounds like you have, while not hindering or hurting yourself. But then I would also say this, put restraints on your generosity because people can take advantage of that. People don't learn if you allow them to keep wallowing in their own filth. So like, for example, if someone comes to me to borrow money, I don't lend money out of my house. You're not going to get, just know. If it's part of the giving fund and I want to give it to you as to be nice and be a blessing to you, great. But here's my rule. It's a 3-strike rule and you're done. If you come to me the first time you need something, if it's in my power to give it, I'm gonna give it. Don't expect it back. Second time, yeah. And each one of those times I'll be talking to you about, hey, you need to take one of my financial classes. You need to go online and take a course. You need to come talk to me. Third time, you're cut off because I refuse to participate in your negative net worth.
Hey, Ephraim.
Yeah, and we're right at time, so sorry.
Yeah. And I want to take just a moment to, before we do a final wrap up, hey, birthday boy, that would be Ali. I think you have some things to say before I give some final words. You want to hop in? I know we have something really exciting happening that you need to tell everybody about besides your birthday.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Hey guys, listen, when I was, trying to make my way through this world and coming up and doing things, I learned a lot of things, about real estate and about, investing and creating trust and generational wealth. And a lot of the things that I learned while going through this journey, I had good friends, and I was like, why isn't this stuff taught? Like, why do we not have an avenue to go and get this information, right? So my life journey, okay, or what I want to do, what I want to provide to you guys in society is the ability to not only transform your life, but then understand how you can build wealth, how you can take it to the next level. And that's my mission, okay? So when I hold these events, this is for you guys. This is me saying, man, why wasn't I given this information? I'm giving you this information, okay? Because I feel like I would have wanted this information. So now I'm trying to help educate you guys so you guys can take your game to the next level, okay? And for me, this is about empowering the people, okay? Getting you to where you can make significant gains to help your family out, right? And just do things on another level, experience a different type of life, right? And that's what this program is all about. It's about changing your life. And then once you start making that money, guess what? There's a lot of other things out there that you're just not privy to. Okay, so I'm just trying to do my part and to help you guys get that knowledge that you're not going to get from anywhere else. Okay, and we're going to continue to do that. Jackie is doing a phenomenal job of putting these presentations together, and we brainstorm all the time. And our goal is just to provide value to you. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. When you become an alumni at Colaberry, I'm trying to provide value for you, right? I just want you to be your best you. I want you to succeed. I want you to go further than you ever thought that you could go. That's my goal, okay? That's my mission in life, is to make sure that we get a competitive advantage, all right? So with that being said, I'll pass it back to Jamie. I hope you guys enjoyed the event. I really enjoyed the event, Ephraim. I wanted to attend the event because I'm always trying to gain my knowledge as well. And I thought what you brought tonight was very informative. And I think the people are definitely going to love what you brought to us, right? Because now we're starting to think in that terms, right? This group that's on the call, I call them new money, because, you know, they went from making $15, $20, $25 an hour to making 80, 90, and 100 figures. I mean, 6 figures, you know? So they're going through a new stage where they're like, oh, this is great. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. And now they have a little extra money. And now it's like, whoa, you're into a whole new realm that you never even thought of before, right? So Colaberry wants to be proactive and understand what you're going through so we can present those options in front of you. So when you're going through that, you can say, oh, okay, now I kind of got an idea, instead of having to learn the hard way, right? Or not even learning it, period, right? So Ephraim, I think you did an excellent job tonight. Listen, I sat through the whole thing. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. I love how it was interactive. So kudos to you. I think we're going to be doing more events in the future, Ephraim. Like, you know, if I was to look forward in the future.
No, my pleasure. I love doing this, and I see your heart in trying to get this information out to them, and so that's important. Hopefully, the people that are seeing my heart a little bit too with this. Like I said, I didn't grow up with this information too, and if you don't have a plan for your money, once again, somebody else does. Somebody else will. So
Okay, guys, but Ali,
Yeah.
there's something else.
What is that?
We want to get to the next level of people, and please announce the new scholarship.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie, for reminding me on that. All right, guys, listen. We are now doing scholarships, data analytics scholarships for people 18 to 24-year-old. Okay. Come to find out, the government is really big on getting 18 to 24-year-olds across the US jobs, okay? And you guys know more than anything that if you would have graduated from high school and been able to go through the Colaberry program and be able to make the type of money that you make now, and then even if you want to do your college degree, you can pay for it at this point, right? Like the money you make right now, how hard would it be for you to pay for a college education? Not as hard, okay? So Colaberry's mission is gonna be focused more moving forward on the 18 to 24-year-olds, okay? And the government is on board with that. So we are introducing scholarships, okay? 100% government is paying for it. Okay, government is paying for it. So that means that we can provide 100% scholarships for the data analytics program, okay, where you don't have to come out of pocket, okay? There's a few qualifications but let's just say it's not going to be hard meeting those qualifications. All right. So your nieces, your nephews, your kids, whatever the case may be, they just out of high school, okay, a couple of years. Listen, sign up for this scholarship, especially in the DFW area, because that's what we're targeting first. Okay. So get them to sign up. You're going to get a bunch of emails on it. Just look out for the emails. Okay. And get them to sign up, because this is the real deal. Like, they actually get to go through the program that you went through, but it's going to be a little bit more hands-on for the 18 to 24-year-olds. Okay. They're going to be meeting. We're going to be, you know, doing a lot more interactive, and they're going to be full-time on this. Okay. So it's not like you that was managing the job and had to do all, no, they're going to be full-time. Okay. So let everybody know, forward the messages once you get them, because, like, man, we have a huge opportunity to change like so many lives, you know. And as Mika would say, we definitely have, we can always use mentors, TAs, and instructors. Okay, guys. So if you want to give back, you know, listen, that was one of the pillars on Ephraim's list. Okay. So if you want to give back, Colaberry is a perfect way, and you can make some money on the side, right? So that's it for me. I know we over time. Jamie, I'm gonna hand it back to you, but I appreciate you guys for joining. I appreciate Ephraim. I appreciate Jackie for putting this together. And hey, this is just a start. We're gonna make sure we have an event for you guys every couple of months. And these events are just there to empower you to do better things. All right, I'm done. Jackie, Jamie, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Ali. Yeah, thank you, everyone. We know that your time is precious, that you've all worked long hours already, and you're taking time away from your family. So thank you for spending time with us tonight. Ephraim, amazing. I knew you would be. I'm so thankful that you were willing to make the time for us, and I love that we were able to give you more of a platform to share this really important message. So thank you so much, everyone. He's given you his information. We'll follow up with the video. We'll have some stuff on.
Hey, Jamie,
yeah.
Hold on one second. Ephraim, can you post your information one more time in the chat so people can, it can be fresh on the chat and people can get it if they want to reach out to you? Go ahead, Jamie, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and we'll follow up with the video to everyone that attended and or had signed up. We can put Ephraim's information in that as well. He does have courses, online courses available, and does other speaking events. So do feel free to reach out. I think, Ephraim, there was another question in the chat that we weren't able to get to on life insurance. So that might be something that you follow up separately on. But again, thank you, everyone. Watch for our emails. We did put the link to the Young Adult Scholarship in the chat. Please pass that word on. We will be sending lots of emails on that, on our upcoming events. You can also check all of our social media, you know, share the information there, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're everywhere. So again, thank you, everyone. We appreciate it, and have a great night.
All right, guys, we out. Peace.